Hello, and for those of you just joining us, welcome. My name is Ashley. I'm the Marketing Communications Manager here at DAC. I'm excited to be introducing our session today on how to use Google listings as a vital communications tool. As we navigate the changing landscape and challenges being presented by the COVID-19 pandemic, we hope this session lends some insightful information and tips on how you can best leverage your own GMB listings to get integral information in front of your audience in this time of crisis. We have about 20 minutes worth of material to go through, and we'll leave another 10 for questions at the end. We welcome your questions, so please submit them at any time throughout the presentation. A recording of the session will be available soon and emailed to all attendees. Without further ado, I'll hand it over to today's presenter, DAC's own local optimization expert, Kyle Harris.
All right. Thank you very much, Ashley, and it's a pleasure to be speaking to everyone today. Like Ashley said, I'm Kyle Harris, Director of Local Optimization at DAC Group. I have been doing that for over 8 years at this point. DAC is a full-service digital agency founded in '72, so we've most certainly been around for a while. And really, why you should be paying attention to kind of our point of view on, how to talk to, your franchisees, your locations, the consumers, really, all of the different stakeholders as it comes to local marketing, is we have, close to 200,000 locations under management. I am a Google My Business expert and really have a tremendous amount of experience working with clients internationally. So I'll most certainly try to make sure that this is applicable to as many, countries, industries as possible as we go through this. So what we're going to be talking about today is really how your messaging out to the consumers, the general public, needs to change now that coronavirus, COVID-19 is a reality. So in terms of who this is affecting, there's a couple of stats I'd like to kind of use to set the stage here. So number one, 90% of GMB accounts only have a single listing in them. And really what this represents is Google has a massive problem in terms of getting out how they want you to handle things, what is available, what are they changing. There's, 90% of the accounts only have a single location in it. So whether you're a multi-location brand or an SMB, it's difficult for Google to actually get the messaging out and, kind of help you. And it's really where, agencies like DAC are stepping in to really help you with, kind of the right things to do. To further exacerbate that problem, not even all locations really online, right, GMB profiles are claimed, right? Right now, only 40% of them are not claimed. Right, so again, there's a huge problem with communication, and to further exacerbate that, in terms of where local actually, plays a part here, close to half of all searchers on Google are actually people looking for local information. So again, 97% of people, right, want to learn about a company online, and it's really where they look first, right? So understanding that Google has a hard time, getting messaging out to people, and that people are definitely looking for local, and they really want to figure out about online companies, or companies, they want to figure out about companies online, right? We have this huge problem. So really the answer to this is really affecting everyone. Now, in terms of why this matters, there are absolutely still consumers, out there who are looking for services, they're looking for products, they're looking for information, right? And when you do these searches, Google is absolutely still serving local results. Right, so you understand if we see a search here like grocery delivery near me, the number one thing that comes up above the fold is this map pack, right? So this is why GMB is so important. It's unbelievably visible. Now, what we're seeing most recently is there is been a shift in terms of how people are really looking for information, right? The queries that they enter into Google, most certainly we've seen some change. So whereas you might have looked at, grocery store near me previously, now it's grocery store with special elderly hours near me, right? And how brands need to figure out what people are searching for, and then how to get that messaging and content in front of consumers is going to be a really important piece here. So looking at a couple trends, what we're seeing is, the spike in grocery delivery is, really off the charts. People are looking for specific products, right? Whether that be Purell or masks or, toilet paper. If you're a business that sells these things, there's a tremendous amount of opportunity to get these specific things that people are looking for in front of consumers. Plus, everyone needs to understand what businesses are open versus closed, right? So we understand the reality of the world right now is a lot of businesses have had to, close up shop. So understanding who's open, who's not, what the right messaging is, again, it's really, really important to get this right. Consumers have these types of questions they need answered. Another big piece is a lot of businesses are moving what they do and their kind of core deliverable online, right? So again, we can see that there's this massive, massive spike in queries for online yoga, and it's not necessarily the ones that were already existing in that space in terms of online workouts that are capturing all that demand, right? Peloton is not taking all of that increase from online yoga demand. So it's important to understand how this really affects your business, what consumers are looking for, and how you can get ahead of that. At the same time that the queries that people are really entering into Google is changing quite a bit, and the information that they're looking for is changing, Google is really under quite a lot of stress at this point. And automation and kind of their, the structure that they put in place is showing some cracks. So there's a litany of different examples of where, posts are getting rejected, listings are saying impending, it's taking 2 weeks to merge something, Google's not letting you update a phone number. There are most certainly some difficulties that really all businesses are facing right now, just in terms of turnaround time. And what we're really seeing from this is that we're having to do a tremendous amount of more work for clients, right? So just relying on APIs or a bulk uploader or all of those types of things for some of our multi-location brands, that is all failing at an alarming rate. And what we're having to do is spend way more time on manual work, and it really stresses the importance of why you will need to be in your account, why you need to look at this very often, and why sometimes manual work is going to be the answer for your business right now. Now, to compound really the problem that's happening here is Google also knows that 40% of locations are not claimed, so they're never going to understand what that business is doing from a GMV standpoint. And what's happening is they're having to take authoritative sources and also local government information and try to automatically update listings. They're trying to automatically close businesses they think are closed. Well, the problem is that's not happening with 100% accuracy. So what we're seeing is that businesses are being mistakenly marked as closed when in reality they are actually very much open. So again, a huge thing to make sure that you are manually reviewing this stuff, and if there are problems, to reach out to kind of GMV support. The turnaround times are going to be a bit slow, but again, this is really imperative for your business. You do not want to be shown as closed when you're actually open. So I say all of that as kind of a preamble to really get the point across that Google My Business profile management is unbelievably important right now. It is paramount. So with that said, let's talk about what you need to do to properly manage your Google My Business listings and your locations. So number one, you need to update your hours. Number two, you need to double check your phone number that's actually displaying in your listing. Number three, you can think about updating your main category. 4, updating your website URL if it makes sense. 5, update your business description. 6, push fresh messaging via Google My Posts. And 7 and 8 are pre-populate FAQs and respond to reviews. Now, I want to go over number 7 and 8 a little bit. I still want to go over 7 and 8. They have changed a bit, and I'll actually get to that section. But just be aware, number 7 and 8 here definitely have some very special, unique pieces you have to remember. So in terms of updating your hours, every business is able to enter in standard hours to Google My Business, right? You're open 9 to 5, whatever the case may be. What you're able to do now is actually enter in special hours. So you can say, I know that my business is going to be closed for the next, however long. You can select the dates and then select the hours that you'll actually be open if they have changed, or you can mark it as closed for X number of days. That is most certainly what we're recommending. There is another option to actually check a box, really, or kind of a little tab within Google My Business to temporarily close your location. So again, when you mark as temporarily closed, you are going to actually, stop showing up for results. Google's going to show open businesses a lot more prominently. So if it makes sense to temporarily close your location, you can. Our recommendation is more so to do this via special hours, so you can still get messaging and still be seen from the general public, right? Especially if you're a business that, your physical location's closed, but you're still doing online stuff. It makes a lot more sense to handle this through special hours. In terms of double checking your phone number, protecting your business. And what I mean by that is, in the past, you might have had local phone numbers for all of your locations, right? You call them up, you want to speak to the local agent, the local restaurant, the local gas station, whoever it would be. Those locations might be closed right now, in which case it makes more sense to actually have a toll-free number, kind of a central kind of customer service line that actually displays. So instead of getting the local branch, maybe now you call into a call center to help with cancellations or things along those lines. Another way to think about it is in the exact opposite way, right? You might have had, an 800 number where you were routing all of your, different calls into a central place from a lead volume standpoint. Now you might be in the medical field and you're really just having to deal with, dentist or, physical kind of postponements or reschedules, right? In which case, maybe it makes more sense to send those to the local doctor, the local office. So again, thinking about what phone number you actually want from a customer service standpoint to display right now is really important. Keeping in mind though, if you do make a phone number change, there are multiple different phone numbers you can enter into Google My Business. So instead of just taking out the toll-free and adding in a local or vice versa, make sure that you just move whatever phone number is currently in GMB to the additional phone line. So you want Google to understand all of the different phone numbers you're using, and you can enter in multiples. Next thing we'll talk about is updating your categories if applicable. So a really good example of this could be, if you're a Chinese restaurant, right? And again, your bread and butter in the past was probably getting people into your physical restaurant. Now you might be closed, in which case it makes way more sense to update your category to delivery Chinese restaurant, right? Again, making sure you show up for the searches, right? People are going to be looking for delivery Chinese a lot more than they are, who has the best seating available. So understanding that and properly reflecting your business online is going to really, really help. Another example would be pizza delivery, right? So again, making sure that you're not a pizza restaurant, but your pizza delivery could be really, really helpful in making sure that you get as much traffic as possible during what could be a very difficult time for your business. So the next thing we'll talk about is updating your website URL. So we understand that a lot of locations would have to close right now, but you still might be offering things like e-commerce. So making sure that when your locations, right, which still do physically exist in the world, but they're just closed right now, send people to a website that reflects what your business is actually doing right now. So maybe you're selling things online. Absolutely drive them to a page that is designed for e-commerce and not the previous page, which I assure was probably most likely to drive someone into store, right? Making sure that the website experience reflects what the reality of the world is right now is really going to help. If you're pushing e-commerce, send them to an e-commerce page. If you're closed, right, send them to a page that has messaging about that. If you're reopening at a time, make sure that that's very clear as well. Absolutely get the messaging right, and where you send people to your website is going to be very, very important. Make sure to also update your business description. So business descriptions really live directly on GMB, and they have this nice little thing that says, from the actual business. So from Planet Fitness, from this dental group. And really, what you want to be doing in this section is making it very clear what is going on with your business. It literally says from your business. So if your studios are closed or you have COVID-19 messaging, this is a great place to actually put that in, and it's going to make it very clear that your listing is updated, that the content is fresh, and people can trust the information. Another thing you'll want to do in the exact same type of scenario is utilize Google Posts to get out messaging to your consumers. So there's a couple of different posts that you could actually do. You could do events posts or you could do what's new posts. But in any case, whichever one you choose, on mobile, these are going to be incredibly important. So posts actually live in a little tab that's called updates. So again, in terms of getting fresh messaging out to your consumers, an updates tab makes a lot of sense in terms of where that messaging and that content would live. And if consumers click on the updates tab, and they see your COVID-19 update, it becomes very clear exactly what's going on with your business, how you're supporting your consumers, and any special messaging or products available, how you're helping the community. All of that can live directly in here. Now, moving on to Q&A and respond to reviews. Prior to maybe this past Friday, what you would have seen is a question and answer section. So, where can I get more information about, temporary closures? And from a review standpoint, you absolutely saw reviews. So this store is cleaned out Corona style. One of the big things that's happening right now that's affecting Q&A and responder reviews is Google is actually limiting the functionality. They came out with a nice little blog post here that said, unfortunately, due to having to really spend all of our time and effort and all the manpower necessary to get things listed online properly, we are going to shut down new reviews, review applies, and Q&A content. Really, Google is putting all of their effort behind any type of medical query of symptoms, of healthcare related stuff. They want to make sure that those are perfect. So in a way to free up their staff to work almost exclusively on those, they've shut down some of the ways that user-generated content shows up on your GMB listing. So again, I absolutely wanted to talk about how these things could be affecting your business, because they might come back in a day or two, they might come back in a week. So you need to be aware of them, because I think this will be important moving forward. But for right now, this is fully shut down and you will not see it online. Now, the question then becomes, where can we go from here, right? So there most certainly is a path forward. Consumers are still buying things. We need to figure out really what our next steps are. And what I really want to point out is that you should focus on what you can control, right? So it's becoming extremely clear that brands do not control GMB, right? Q&A gets shut down, reviews get shut down. It takes a while to process. They might close your location when it's actually open. And it has really rigid data fields. There's not like a great, COVID-19 section for you. So again, you're having to kind of play within Google's rules. But the thing is, consumers still have a lot of unique questions about your local business. So what I'm really trying to stress here is you need to utilize the platform that allows for customized messaging. And that is your website or websites. So what I mean by this, and really equal in importance, is making sure that you get your COVID-19 messaging onto your website, right? It's where consumers are going to be looking for very unique questions that might not fit very easily into Google, right? So your COVID-19 update right here, an example from Mr. Lube that's on their homepage, right, is a great way to get everything that's actually affecting that specific business. And consumers do have a lot of unique questions, and it's great for that content to live here. Outside of just the homepage, things like store pages are also really important to get right as well, right? So again, I'm looking at a Mount Pleasant Home Depot location, a banner right at the top of, hey, here's how we're preparing and responding and what our special hours are and the different services, and you can click to buy online and actually collect outside, so it's a contactless pickup. All of these things are wildly important, and this content literally has to live on your store page. It's equally as important as GMB updates. Another really smart thing that businesses and brands could be doing right now is also utilizing Lightbox, so when you go to your website, this kind of pops up right in the middle, and you can really put any message you need here, right? So our studio is temporarily closed, but join us online for videos and online content, and our business is now digital instead of physical. So again, there's a lot of really, really important things you can do on your website as well. Think about what messaging you need to get out to your consumers and absolutely get that updated. So in terms of what's next, I really want to leave kind of everyone with a bit of a positive spin on some of this. And it's, we're most certainly going to get through this if we keep calm and carry on, get the right message out to our consumers, try to be very helpful at this time. People will go back, things will normalize. And if you handle things properly right now, hopefully everything will work out. So with that, I'd like to definitely turn it over to some questions to see if any have come in. And I'll turn it over to Ashley to kind of filter through those and throw some my way.
Sure, thanks so much, Kyle. A lot of helpful information there, and we have had a number of questions come in, so excuse me, we can jump right in. The first being, does it matter what Google post type I choose to get my COVID-19 messaging out?
Gotcha. So yes, it actually does matter which Google post type you actually choose. My recommendation is either to go with one of two options. There's a what's new, so you can do really any type of content you want in that what's new type, get your messaging out. The problem is that post is going to expire within 7 days. So whatever messaging you decide to put in a what's new about your business, it is going to expire. Now, things are very fluid right now, so that probably works for quite a lot of businesses. The other option is to make an events post. And what's really different about an events post is you get to enter a starting date and an end date, and that end date can be substantially longer than 7 days. So you can get an event post that runs for a month, you can get it runs for 3 weeks, however long, and you can change those as well. So if you want a Google post that does not expire or expires then the date that you want, I would go with an events post. But those would be the two different options and two different things to think about.
Okay, great. Good to know. And Zane asked, does it matter to update the store hours on the website? So for example, while having a COVID message on the top and the store hours are regular on the website, like would you suggest that they change both?
Yeah, so I absolutely would recommend that you update your store hours on your store page. Google is still indexing those pages, so it really helps if it matches what's on Google, what's on your website. Consumers understand that what Google is showing might be a little bit delayed, and it's easier for brands to control their website. So you want to make sure that your website reflects everything 100% that's accurate about your business right now. So again, you could say, our store hours are closed right now, but we're offering online delivery only, or, we're open, but with these special hours, or even, if you're a grocery store, here are our, seniors and people that are disabled store hours from 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. and then regular store hours afterwards. So what you can do on your website is unbelievably customizable. It's kind of the best part. It's a blank canvas. So whatever your business reality is right now, you're going to want to make sure that that reflects. And store hours and kind of services and messaging, all of that should be updated on your website.
Okay, great. And Steve asked, are these temporary store closure hours something we can get updated through DAC so that Facebook is updated as well?
Yeah, absolutely. So in terms of working through us, or really if you work through any kind of multi-location, listing management company, they should be able to push your special hours to more than just Google. Google is absolutely the lion's share here in terms of prioritizing this. You're going to get 90 to 99% of your traffic directly from Google. So again, work on that one 10 times over before you worry about anything else. But yeah, I mean, putting up special messaging on Facebook, the hours on Facebook aren't really super visible, but like your hero image on Facebook, have a nice little banner that says, hey, our store is closed right now, but we're offering X, Y, and Z, or yes, we have these products in stock, whatever the case may be. You do want to get your messaging out to other vendors, right? So special hours on Apple would be a great idea. Doing special hours on Bing would be important. I wouldn't go crazy with some of the smaller sites, right? Like uscities.net, you don't have to worry about closing your hours. But some of the bigger ones, yes, you would want to do those, but absolutely start with Google first.
Okay, great. And Sunil has a question. So they have 19 branches around Canada and they're all working remotely. What would you recommend as for an option to showcase that to their clients or target audience?
So I would really need to know what the business is. Working remotely as what type of industry?
Okay, if you want to let us, recruitment company.
Gotcha. Yeah, so the answer for that is I would put a Google post up that says, I mean, the reality is you probably don't need to meet with anyone face to face. So a Google post that says, hey, we're still doing recruitment type of, conferences with clients via Zoom, or might like talk about the different platforms in which you'll have those calls. Like if you want to Facebook chat, if you want to do Zoom, if you're on Skype, if you're on Microsoft Teams, talk about all the ways that people can contact you. And then updating your business description to talk about those things, having a Google post that talks about that, putting that up on Facebook, really just getting the message out that you are still seeing your clients. It's just not physically happening in your branches anymore. Absolutely a good idea.
Okay. And Kelly's wondering, I don't know if you have any insight on this, Kyle, but is there any expectation of when the Google delays will return to normal? Because when she's been posting, she's seeing a delay, of course.
Yeah, so I wish that I had a really good example for that. Like in the past, X, Y, and Z has happened. The reality is we're in a bit of uncharted waters, so the timing of anything is not necessarily super clear. What is really important, it's why I showed that slide of, we're spending 200 to 300% more time with our clients right now, is it is a bit of, blood, sweat, and tears to ultimately get this stuff there. So the more that you can reach out to GMB's chat, the more that you can be on top of this stuff and not really just set it and forget it and think technology is going to ultimately solve it. The more time that you can spend updating these things, the easier it will be to get them going live. Now, eventually, yes, things will absolutely come back to the medium, the volume will slow down, things will get back to normal. But during that time, my recommendation is not necessarily to think there's some sort of magic end date. It's more so to think, I need to free up time to find time to manually solve some of these problems that I'm having. And again, working with a vendor or working with your team, training people on this, that's really what you should be thinking about right now.
Right, okay. And would you recommend temporarily closing businesses if they'll be shut down for more than a week?
Yeah, so the only time that I would recommend closing a business is if you literally don't want your business to be shown to consumers anymore, right? So even if you're a gym, right, and you're closed right now, I still think that it makes sense to just close your business from special hours. So we're not open for any hours today, right? But if you want to call us and talk about your membership, if you want to call us and talk about billing, people still have questions about your business, right? You didn't cease to exist. So I wouldn't really temporarily close. What's more likely to happen is you can push out, content. If you're a gym, you could talk about, videos of the right way to do the push-up challenge that's happening online. So again, even if your business is closed physically, most likely that there's something online or some messaging or some content that you could still get out to your consumers to, number one, just help build your brand, right? To still stay relevant when people when people inevitably, right, go back to normal life, you're going to want them to, renew their membership and still remember your brand, still have affinity. So the reality is, it's very rare that I would recommend actually closing a business. And instead, I would just think use, the special hours and get the right messaging out for what you're doing to support your consumers right now. I think that's a much better way to handle it.
Okay. And do you know if Google will have a message saying hours may vary due to COVID, just like across the board?
Yeah, so I know that things like Yelp are working on getting like a banner to actually show up on your listing that says like, hey, this business might reflect weird hours. I have not heard GMB support or anyone like on the search liaison team actually come out with a, hey, we're going to put banners up. I think the general public is aware of the situation right now, so that's why it's so important, right? That they're going to click through to your website and want to double check a lot of this information. So getting the same messaging in a lot of places is going to help. But yeah, as of right now, I've heard no plan that Google's going to have some sort of banner that displays about all this stuff.
Okay, great. Thanks so much, Kyle. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have for today, but everyone on the call, Kyle, along with all of our experts here at DAC are available to support you during this time. If you'd like to speak one-on-one, don't hesitate to reach out. We're here to help. And in addition, if you're looking for more information on how to communicate with your audience, our blog is continuously being updated with valuable content and insights. You can view that at dacgroup.com/blog. So thanks again and enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks, Kyle.
No problem. Bye, guys.